Hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I want to take a quick look at our newest breakdance enabling device, the Kogake Prime. Now, if you want to get your hands on this device, the blueprint is an uncommon drop from the Axii V7 relic, the boot is a common drop from the Axii A3 relic, and the gauntlet is a rare drop from the Meso K1 relic. Just bear in mind that you will have to get 2 gauntlets and 2 boots. The new Kogake Prime requires you to be at least Mastery rank 10 to use it, and it does 70 damage with each hit. 49 is impact, 10.5 is puncture, and 10.5 is slash. It has 34% status chance, 16% crit chance with a 1.8 times multiplier, and it has attack speed of 0.917, which is actually pretty slow. So if you want this to feel good, I would very much recommend you use Berserker over Fury or even the primed version of Fury. And just like with the other sparring weapons, or sparring stances I should say, sprint speed or movement speed in general is amazing, because while the combos do allow you to move around and even sprint while you're performing them, they slow you down quite considerably, so sprint speed makes them feel a lot better. Which is why the hidden bonus of the Kogake Prime is so cool, because they increase your movement speed by 5% if you're in melee mode. It doesn't unfortunately work if you're wielding a primary or a secondary weapon. Now I know that 5% doesn't sound like an awful lot, and it's not if you slap it onto something slow like Frost, but if you have a fast Warframe or you stack sprint speed like I do on my Inaros, it actually ends up being somewhat noticeable and it gives you a nice chunk of movement speed. Now I ended up using a 0 Forma build because the Kogake come with 3 Vs as standard, which is more than enough for a build, especially on a melee weapon where you get additional capacity from a stance, and I decided to go full on status and just not bother with crit at all. So the stance I'm using is Brutal Tide because it matches the polarity, but both of the sparring stances are pretty good. Then I swapped on Primed Fever Strike, so I get a lot more toxin damage, which combines with Virulent Scourge and Voltaic Strike into a ton of corrosive damage and a lot of status chance. Then we have Volcanic Edge, which adds a little bit of heat damage, which is great versus flesh, especially since the weapon doesn't do a ton of slash damage, and it adds even more status chance. After that we have Condition Overload, which is going to increase our melee damage by crazy amount for each status effect we have on the enemy, and Berserker for that lovely attack speed, and I would once again very much recommend Berserker over Fury or the primed version of Fury. And don't worry, 16% crit chance is more than enough to sustain your Berserker procs. Then of course we're going to add primed pressure points for some melee damage, and finally Drifting Contact for a little bit of extra status chance and increased combo duration. Now you could go with body count to get a longer combo duration, just bear in mind that it will drop your status down to 95%. Now at first I did want to squeeze in crit into the build as well with Blood Rush and Organ Chatter, but in the end it just didn't feel worth it because I was losing a ton of status chance, I was losing a ton of corrosive damage because I wasn't using Primed Fever Strike anymore, and there wasn't enough mod space for the Volcanic Edge mod, so I lost the heat element, which for a Condition Overload setup is a pretty big deal. It wasn't awful when I got lucky and I got crits back to back from the start. It was actually pretty damn strong, but it just felt way less consistent than this setup. And oh my, what a setup it is. I wasn't expecting amazing results because the weapon is primarily impact based, and impact isn't that great versus flesh and armor, especially once you push the enemies up to sortie level, so around level 100, but holy crap, this thing does a lot of damage. And the best thing about this is that it is a sparring weapon, so you're pretty much just breakdancing enemies to death. It is just amazing. The animations you get with the sparring weapons just look so damn good. And it's even better if they're actually, doing some damage. I mean, look at that, that's so ridiculous. I think my favorite animation has to be the regular finisher. Get bonked. I absolutely adore sparring weapons. I think they're some of the most fun weapons you can use in the game because both of the stances are just over the top, rule of cool. I just love it. They look so good and it feels good to play with them as well. If you have enough attack and movement speed, because if you're missing one of those, they're gonna feel pretty sluggish. It's not quite as much fun as running around with a really fast tempo royale setup like I have on my Galatine Prime, but it's close. This is one of those weapons that I can just take into a survival and stay there for an hour plus because of how much damn fun it is. It's the type of weapon that makes you run out of life support because you're just not paying attention. It is awesome, so I would definitely recommend you pick this up if you have the opportunity. I thank you very much for watching as always guys, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.